Howdy from the West. I'm Cheryl and this is Matt. Our channel is We're in the Rockies, and the whole purpose of it is to help people plan a trip to the West.
And today we're in Monument Valley, and we want to share with you the don'ts of Monument Valley so you can have a successful trip.
Don't go to the Four Corners. It's really tempting to think this is going to be a cool site, and if you're not sure what the Four Corners is, that's where Utah, Arizona, Colorado, and New Mexico all meet, and you can stand in 4 states at once, and it sounds super cool. And last night we actually stayed at the Four Corners Inn here in Gouldings, Utah, but a few years back I got in my mind that I really wanted to go to the Four Corners, and my mother-in-law, who loves to do everything, told me, she's like, oh, yeah, that's something to go do, because she'd been there before, and I should have known that in Linda language what she was saying was, that's a terrible idea. But I dragged the whole family out there, and it was really mostly a big cement slab with the 4 corners on it, and you can take some fun pictures, I guess, there. And there are some stands around with like Native American art and crafts and things like that, but I would say it's really not worth the big drive out there. So that's your first don't.
The next don't is to don't miss out on the chance to get your photo at John Ford Point. This little part right here kind of juts out and just leaves you with a really cool view of Monument Valley below. And what you can do here is actually hop on the horse and get your picture taken at John Ford Point. This is your opportunity to look like John Wayne, so don't forget your cowboy hat. And you do have to pay him a little bit to get on the horse to get your picture taken. You take your own picture, they won't take it, but they do charge you $10 just to go out and sit on the horse. You can come out to the point and just stand there if you want to and get your picture taken, but I had to get mine with the horse in there. Okay, the next don't is don't forget about the time zones here. If you're traveling along the Utah-Arizona border, which you might be if you're visiting Monument Valley or Page, Arizona, where there's Antelope Canyon. You might even be coming in from Las Vegas to visit a lot of those places. The time zones are a real mess, so let me just try to simplify it a little bit here. So Nevada and California are in the Pacific time zone. So if you're starting your trip from Las Vegas, you're going to start off in that time zone. When you cross into Utah and Arizona, they use the Mountain time zone. However, during the summer, Arizona does not use daylight saving time, but Utah does. So in effect, Arizona during the summer is on the same time zone as Nevada and California, Utah a different time zone. So that's confusing. If you end up going to the Hoover Dam, that's kind of crazy because you're really right on the border of the 2 time zones. Okay, the other thing is once you get over here to Monument Valley, this is really right on the border of Utah and Arizona. However, Monument Valley is on Navajo land, on the Navajo reservation, so they have opted to use daylight saving time. So even though a large portion of Monument Valley is in Arizona, they're still going to use daylight saving time. So just consider Monument Valley on Utah time. And it just gets really weird because when you get over here, your phone could be on either time, right? So that's kind of crazy. And then if you end up going to Page, so after this, we're going to Page, Arizona, and we're going to do the Antelope Canyon hike. That is on Arizona time, but it's right on the border, so it's, again, your phone can get kind of messed up. So they suggest using like Phoenix as your time zone if you're heading over to Page. But here in Monument Valley, it's basically Utah time. So man, it has really messed with my mind a little bit. And if you're on one of these trips where you start in Vegas and you go through Utah, Monument Valley, Page, Arizona, and the Grand Canyon, you really need to pay attention to the time zones. Okay, the next don't is not to visit Monument Valley in the middle of the summer. It is boiling hot here in the desert. Now, we are visiting kind of on the shoulder season, but you know, we're in September right now. We're in the very beginning of September, but even September is getting hotter and hotter, as you know. The temperatures are kind of rising everywhere. So the summer season is expanding out. I would probably visit in the spring, meaning February or March, or in the fall, like late September or October is when I'd visit if you have a chance. Now, most people, of course, need to go in the summer because that's when school's out, but it does get boiling hot. It's like over 90 degrees today. It's been over 105 degrees recently, I believe. But yes, if you visit on the shoulder season, the temperatures are really amazing and beautiful.
The next don't is to don't miss an opportunity to fill up your water bottle when it comes your way. We're at a visitor center right now, and this is the first time I've seen a water refill station and a flushy toilet situation. So make sure to take advantage of that and bring a container with you to carry your water around, because it is hot. It's 91 degrees today. It's September, and we're going through our water in our car. So make sure you fill up on water when you have a chance.
Okay, the next don't is don't miss out on visiting Gouldings. This is just outside of the Monument Valley Park. So this is actually in Utah, just right on the border of Utah and Arizona, but really just outside the park. What there is here is a lodge that you can stay in, or a hotel that you can stay in. They have a dining room called the Stagecoach Dining Room. They have a little museum here with some Hollywood history in a little building called the Trading Post. It used to be an actual trading post. They have kind of a little theater here, like a tiny little slideshow type of a thing. And then they have a little building called John Wayne's Cabin, which was actually featured in one of the movies. It's not a cabin that he stayed in, it was just featured in one of his movies. So kind of a popular little stop, the Gouldings Lodge, a little complex over here. Now I covered this a little bit more in depth in our video about the things that you can do in Monument Valley. So check that out. I'll put a link to it in the description.
Don't drive your sedan. We're on this big dirt road going through all these amazing buttes. And you can see behind me, there's a real variety of cars that go on this road, and there's no signage or anything saying don't drive a certain car or all-wheel drive required. And I've seen plenty of sedans on this trail, but oh my goodness, it is pretty bumpy, and you have to drive literally 5 miles an hour at some points, especially if you're in a car.
Okay, the next don't for Monument Valley is don't forget to watch the movie Stagecoach. This was made in 1939 and was the breakout role for John Wayne and for Monument Valley. This was like the first movie where they used Monument Valley as a backdrop. Here's the funny thing, in that movie, Monument Valley is only on screen for about a total of a minute. So they're trekking across the desert going to Texas or something like that. I can't quite remember exactly, but Monument Valley is on there for 2 iconic scenes, I believe, but total of about a minute. But it became famous because of that movie, and John Ford, the director, and John Wayne, the actor, returned here time and time again to shoot more and more movies. That was John Wayne's big breakout role. He'd been in many movies before that, but was kind of a B actor, and then suddenly, boom, famous. So it really is a good movie. It's one of the all-time greats. It's like top 3 Western movies of all time, probably, if you look at most ratings. Definitely check out 1939 Stagecoach before you come visit Monument Valley. All right, up next, don't forget that there are many, many national park sites around Monument Valley. So Monument Valley is kind of a big draw and a big name in this area, but there are so many other cool national park sites around here. There is Cedar Mesa National Monument, which is where we are right now. Bears Ears National Monument. There's some state parks like Gooseneck State Park. There's Mesa Verde National Park, which is over in Colorado. There's Navajo National Monument as well. So there are really a lot of other amazing spots that you can see if you're coming to visit Monument Valley. You just need to plan a little bit of extra time, or maybe a lot of extra time in a way, because it's spread out here in the desert Southwest, so it takes a little bit of time to drive around. But a lot of these you can hit on your way to and from Monument Valley, depending on whether you're coming from Colorado, Utah, or Arizona.
Don't forget that you are on Navajo land. They have a whole different set of rules here. Some things that I've noticed on our trip here is that some places will only take cash and others will only take card. So make sure you have both things with you. I've noticed that the Monument Loop closes at 5, so there's some different hours here. And also currently tribal law is that we wear masks everywhere. And so just realize that you are on Navajo land when you visit beautiful Monument Valley. And our last don't is don't miss out on our whole video of our entire road trip of Monument Valley with all its fun tips and tricks. Thanks for watching.